How do you do, y'all? So I decided to level up the SRS of Enormity build, and it went through a few slight changes. I mean, before we get into some of the changes, all this footage was done in the last couple of days. Mainly bossing, just kind of showcase proof of build, since it's kind of more or less changed from what it was. Pretty much every boss, I did the feared for the first time, and you'll see that I lived with only a single portal left. Get your chaos res, very important. I've only ever done that fight like one other time, so it's just, man, that fight sucks. I hate that fight. And we have uh, like 100% map, pretty decent quant, 80% deli, expedition, and abyss footage. So I mean, 80%. It was a joke. It was an absolute joke. 80%, and I reckon with the amount of damage that we have, which is, probably somewhere in the realm of about 75 to 80 million. So pretty good. Probably about 130k boss EHP and about probably 650 some odd thousand mapping EHP. So very tanky. I wouldn't necessarily, there are better bossers out there, there are better mappers out there. But as far as not a mega expensive SRS build, I mean, this thing really performs to the moon and back. This is the first time in my 5,000 hours that I've been able to make a build this well, and well enough to get me through every piece of content in the end game. We did try some Simulacrum 30, but I'm currently not ailment immune, and it's just so important to be ailment immune for Simulacrum. So we didn't do too well in that, but I reckon when I do get ailment immune, we're going to retry it, and I have little doubt that we will be able to clear a Sim 30. So with that said, there are some changes. I think one of the biggest complaints about Enormity in the current state is that its cast speed is just too slow. Like, it's point 0.8 versus point 0.5. Well, there is a cast wheel in the witch area, somewhere in the middle. So you take that. That's quite a bit of attack speed. And there are other places to get attack speed, which I certainly would prioritize. You need something like upwards of like 40% cast speed for it to get down to 0.5, which is more or less the same as the base SRS gem. And that, to me, is paramount. At the very minimum, at least from my testing, 0.6 is serviceable, but there seemed to be like animation, quote unquote, how long you stand still while you cast, kind of breakpoints. Point 0.7 felt better than point 0.8, and point 0.8 or point 0.6 felt a lot better than point 0.8. And just the lower you go, just the build begins to kind of flow and work all around so much better. And we do that, by getting cast speed. So if you need to get some fractured stuff, by all means, get some fractured stuff. If you find a good piece of gear and it's got cast speed, that cast speed is usable. Extremely. It makes the build feel, how Righteous Fire, it just feels good. Cast speed really makes this build feel better. Another thing that we've done, we use Noxious Catalyst on the Tavukai. So now they take 24% increased chaos damage. I think we're rocking like a negative 16 chaos res neck, and that helps a ton with making sure that our SRS are not taking too long to explode. But it still is a bit noticeable that they do, they are on a fairly decent timer before they hit low live. But it's not anything too long. As you can see, it's not egregious in any way. I think it's more than reasonable. And with the amount of damage that we do, there are other ways, to get the cast speed lower. But I'm kind of okay where it's at right now. I think the build is in a good place. This build that you're seeing right now doing these bosses, this is not like fully fleshed out. We're not ailment immune. We are not whole. We don't have a whole 75 chaos res yet, right? We're missing one of our most important damage links, because currently the 5 blue, 1 red Skin of the Lords like 15 div, right? So instead of crit damage support, we're using Awakened Fire Pen. Literally, crit damage support gives us another like 25 million. So we're not even at like 75, 80 right now. We're probably in the realm of 50, maybe 48. So yeah, there's still, there's still room to grow. So that's kind of exciting, at least. I'll probably end up dropping the money for that chess piece just to take the build to fruition. But I just wasn't at that point. I had all this stuff. I wanted to get the videos made and the footage recorded. So as far as mapping goes, honestly, the mapping's lit. I love it. It's a lot faster than it used to be. I made this build, I think, 23.20. And in Toda, we got it up to like 19 mil DPS. And then came the change to the, to the base gem. We got the transfigure gems. And, now we're up to, 77 million DPS with this build. So it's really an insane leap for this archetype of minion builds. And one of SRS's weakest aspects was it's clear. And I mean, generally it feels awful. But that can be solved with running Ignite Prolif instead of Predator. You give up the ability to control and pinpoint rare mobs. But at the same time, you can just spec increase AoE, get your Ignite Prolif. And currently, I think my Ignite's popping for probably around 800,000, maybe a million. I know when the build is fully fleshed out per the POB, it's about 1.4 mil, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 1.2. And that Ignite Prolif helps massively in maps. I can't even begin to tell you. It is the only way that I run mapping. Now, if you really wanted to get down to the nitty gritty, you could swap when you hit the boss. I don't personally. I did use Predator for these because I was only doing bossing. Right? So I didn't really feel the need to swap. When I'm just doing general mapping, I don't even swap for the boss. I just, run Ignite Prolif, and then this is just what we do. Right. So I just wanted to show you guys a bit of a showcase of what the build's capable of, how much of an absolute, powerhouse this build is. If you wanted, you could probably drop about 20 mil damage, go for Mage Bane, and run suppression gear, and you would be truly tanky. I feel very tanky even with 75 block. And so you mix in some spell suppression, and suddenly you got an extremely tanky build that's going to be able to just fucking face tank anything you want. But I will be doing kind of another video going over the POB. And kind of going a little bit more in depth and stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys want, sound off in the comments. If anyone's even still here, let me know if you guys want like a leveling breakdown. I think I've done some leveling stuff. I have a POB for the leveling, and it looks like pretty much phenomenal. This build is a little bit expensive in the in game. I'm thinking probably in the realm of 25 plus. But the good news is the ramp on Enormity is just, it's incredible. Every single upgrade is valuable. Every single upgrade is valued for defenses, for DPS. Everything just, you notice it. Every gem level is noticeable. This build ramps incredibly well. So that's it. We're getting towards the end of the footage. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you for hanging out. And we'll see you guys in the next video. That'll be good. Merry Christmas. Oh, jeez.